We'll bring up John Peddie for 12 minutes. And somebody have a stopwatch?
Not going to make any difference. So, 16 years at COFIS, and Brad starts every one of these sessions the same way. We're running a little late. All right, thanks. Got it. All right, so Brad asked me to give you an overview, an update on some of the things that are going on in the hardware realm of computer graphics and CAD and engineering. And so real quickly, we do that. Get on with that. Get on with that, he said. So the way we work is changing, and it's been changing rapidly. We can do more now in more different ways, but best way to think about it. We have more mobility. The mobility started probably when we got usable laptop computers. Now we have that, and we're able to collaborate, and we're able to move out into the field. And what you're going to hear today and tomorrow, if you hang around, is we are going to be able to work anywhere, anytime, on any machine. And I'll emphasize that a little bit later again. Here's a little historical and forecast also. You've heard about the PC and the decline of the PC. Well, it isn't declining that much. It did take a hit. We all know about the recession. That happened. But it's pretty stable now. This data includes workstations. So now you break it out, and you can see what the workstation segment is, which is the numbers on your right. And so smaller volume, higher ASPs, higher margin, and very, very steady, slow growth, but very, very steady. So it's a rock-solid business. It makes companies like Hewlett-Packard, Lenovo, Dell, Fujitsu, et cetera, very happy. They've been doing it for a long time. Now, everybody says, yeah, but isn't the PC going to die? Haven't tablets replaced the PC? To a certain extent, that is true. Tablets have replaced the PC a little bit, especially in the low end. So people who would have bought a low end, that's a sub-$1,000 PC, probably won't now. But the important thing here to see is that, number one, PC is not dying or going away. And the really important thing, the main takeaway of this is that it's not an either-or situation. We have all of these things and more. We have tablets, we have laptop computers, we have desktop computers, we have mobile phones, etc. So it's not like if you buy a tablet, you don't buy a PC, or vice versa. You buy all these things because they're tools, and you need them for different parts of the world. The next big thing coming up is virtualization. And this is the thing that is empowering us to be able to work anywhere on any machine. The market for virtualization and the subcomponents of it is just staggering because there's been such a pent-up demand. We did a survey this time last year and asked people in the engineering profession, are you using virtualization or would you like to use virtualization? And it was overwhelming that a surprisingly large number were using it, and an even larger number want to use it. And there was a small segment of small engineering firms that were afraid they wouldn't have the engineering skills, the IT skills to bring it up, but they wanted to do it. So you have three categories. And I'm going to talk about this tomorrow around 11 o'clock. So if you guys want to come to my session tomorrow, I'll give you more detail on this. But basically, you have the workstation sitting in the server, or you have a dedicated workstation, or you have a system where it's using the server and a dedicated workstation. And you have all these combinations. And like I say, that empowers you to work any place, anytime, and on any machine. The other thing I always get asked about is, yeah, but tablets are so great now and phones are so great now. Aren't they catching up? Do we really still need PCs and so forth? And the answer is emphatically no. Moore's law works for all platforms, not just mobile devices. And if you think that the mobile devices are getting better, well, yes, they are. But so are PCs and workstations. And this is a little chart. I don't know if the blue line comes out well. But anyway, it's a little chart that shows a unit of measurement called flops to give you an idea of what the performance and the power is. And as you can see, all things are moving up. Game consoles are the exception to that. They take step functions and stay flat for a long time. So are mobile devices moving up in performance? Sure they are. Are they going to replace PCs because of that? No, they're not. If they do, it's because software let us down, because the software stagnated and flatlined, and so the mobile devices can catch up to us. Hopefully, people like John are going to keep that from happening. No flatlines. The other thing that's happening is we're getting different modality for the way we look at our data. And virtual reality now is the big buzzword. Everybody's excited to talk about virtual reality. It's been around since the 60s, believe it or not. But it's now at the point where we can do it, and we can do it much more economically, and we have a lot of software interfaces, a lot of APIs that make it possible. The cost that mobile devices have done to hardware has made it more affordable, and so now we can get an AR headset for $300-400 and use that to explore data models. Now, that's not a new thing. It's just that it's going to be more democratic now. More people are going to be able to do it. So, there's enormous demand for computer systems. It's not going to go away. The data analysis section is gigantic. It gets bigger. You've heard about big data. Well, to process big data, you have to have big machines. Sorry. The work environment and the machines are changing very, very rapidly. We have new form factors in the PC. We have the all-in-ones, the two-for-ones, the ultrabooks. We have new powerful workstations that we can put in a notebook. I have a notebook workstation, honest-to-God workstation that weighs less than 5 pounds. That's where we are today. We have more choices in the way we can look at our data, and we have infinite choice as to where we can look at our data and what we can do with it. And so how did I do on time? It all started at a little radio station in El Rio, Texas. Here.
So we have actually time for 1 or 2 questions for John. Anybody want to ante up? Jack, please stand up.
John, thank you. What do you see as the biggest monster coming at us?
Monster. I guess the successful or the efficient management of big data. We've heard a lot about big data, and the way we're getting big data is through social networks and other systems where we are collecting information about literally everything that we do, combined with more elaborate data models. We no longer build simple wireframe models of a car, for example. We now have an enormous data set of all the parts that go into that car, where the parts came from, the material that the parts were made from, et cetera, et cetera. It goes way, way back. And that's because we have such litigious behavior. We sue everybody if one bolt breaks. But all that's big data. So now how do we munge that down? And that's going to be the big challenge. And that's the challenge for the software companies. That's what they have to bring to us, is efficient tools that let us plow through, mine, if you will, this data, and then try and extract some answers from it.
Joe, I'll throw a question in myself, and that is the observations that you have are a net sum of your global data. How does that data differentiate itself across different geographic areas?
Well, no surprises there. Currently, the United States is just barely the largest market for the hardware. China is a very, very close second and will replace the United States in terms of being number 1 in probably less than 2 years. Our forecast keeps wiggling around as the GDMPs change. China just...
Does that include workstations?
Yeah. But China just kind of dropped, I love this, dropped to 7%, right? We'd like to get to 7%. They've dropped to 7%. China has been less... how do I want to say, consuming of workstations than has the rest of the world, but that's changing, and it's changed a lot because China has brought in so many architects and developers and designers to put up those massive buildings that they're putting up, and those folks have brought workstations with them and showed the benefit of workstations. So whereas Chinese have tried to shoehorn a PC in and make OpenGL work and hope that the apps did work and everything. And they've done it because they've had tons of time to put it. They can throw lots of manpower at it. They're finding out that their manpower is now expensive enough that they need better tools, and better tools mean better workstations, just to keep them on par with the productivity of the rest of the world. So United States, China, Europe, and then kind of the rest of the world, which is dominated by South America mostly.
Thank you, John. Peter?